They only wanted a quiet dinner together, a simple night out as a family. But before their meals ever touched the table, something unthinkable happened. A restaurant that welcomed countless others suddenly turned cold, their smiles replaced with silence, their service stripped away, all because of the color of their skin. The humiliation was public, the pain undeniable. Yet in that moment of cruelty, a stranger rose, changing everything. But what could one person possibly do against such injustice? Stay with me. This story will shock you. It was supposed to be a night of celebration. The Johnsons, a close-knit family of 4, had spent the week juggling school, work, and life's endless demands. Tonight was their chance to pause, to share a meal together, to laugh and talk without rushing. They chose a well-known restaurant in town, the kind of place families went for birthdays, anniversaries, or just a treat at the end of a long week. From the moment they stepped inside, everything felt routine. The kids, full of excitement, argued playfully over what to order. Their parents smiled, relieved to finally sit down and enjoy a rare evening together. The warm light, the clinking of silverware, and the smell of fresh food promised comfort. Just a simple, ordinary dinner. But beneath that sense of normalcy, something uneasy stirred. A glance from the hostess that lingered too long. A pause in the waiter's smile. Small things, almost invisible, yet impossible to ignore. Still, the Johnsons brushed it off. After all, why expect anything but kindness in a place built to serve? What they didn't know was that this night, this meal they had looked forward to, would turn into a moment they would never forget. A moment that revealed how fragile dignity can be when prejudice enters the room. At first, nothing seemed unusual. The Johnsons waited patiently at their table, menus in hand, chatting about desserts and weekend plans. Other families who walked in after them were greeted quickly, their drink orders taken without hesitation. But as the minutes stretched on, the smiles around them grew thinner. The waiter who had promised to return never did. Glasses of water never arrived. What began as a small annoyance soon became impossible to ignore. The children shifted uncomfortably, asking when they could order. The parents exchanged nervous glances, their excitement dimming. Around them, dishes clattered and servers bustled, yet somehow no one came their way. Then came the first sting. A waiter walked past their table, meeting the father's eyes for a brief moment before turning away, as if the family wasn't even there. Seconds later, he stopped at the table beside them, greeting a group who had just walked in, taking their order with cheerful efficiency. Within 10 minutes, steaming plates of food were placed in front of strangers, while the Johnsons sat invisible. The realization settled heavy. They weren't being overlooked by accident. They were being ignored, deliberately. The mother tried to catch the hostess's eye, lifting her hand politely. The hostess hesitated, then looked away, pretending to be busy at the counter. It was subtle, but cruelly clear. The Johnsons didn't belong, not in the eyes of this restaurant. The father leaned back, his jaw tight, forcing a calm smile for his children. But his eyes betrayed him, eyes that had seen this before, eyes that carried the weight of countless quiet humiliations. He wanted to shield his kids, to protect their innocence. But how do you hide a truth that's unfolding right in front of them? The kids noticed. Their questions grew sharper. Why aren't they serving us? Did we do something wrong? No parent should have to answer those questions, especially when the truth cuts so deep. Around them, whispers rose. A couple at the next table cast a quick glance, then looked away in silence. Others noticed, but no one spoke up. The room felt colder, each passing second a reminder that their dignity was being chipped away, one ignored request at a time. Still, the family waited, hoping someone would finally do the right thing. But hope faded when the manager walked past, avoiding their table entirely, his eyes fixed on anything but them. It was no longer just about food. It was about worth, about being seen, about being treated as human. The tension in the air was suffocating, thick with unspoken prejudice. The Johnsons sat in the center of it all, helpless, humiliated, and abandoned in plain sight. But just when it seemed like their voices would never matter, a stranger rose from across the room, someone who had been watching, someone who had seen enough. And with a single step forward, the night began to change. The room seemed to freeze as the stranger pushed back their chair. Conversations faltered, forks paused mid-air. Every eye turned as they crossed the floor, their steps steady, their presence undeniable. The Johnsons looked up, uncertain, caught between shame and relief, not yet sure what this moment would bring. The stranger stopped at their table, glancing from the family to the staff. Their voice rang out, calm but sharp, each word slicing through the silence. "Why haven't they been served?" The question landed like a stone in still water. The waiter stiffened. The hostess fumbled with her hands. Suddenly, there was no hiding the truth. The injustice that had lingered in the shadows was dragged into the open for everyone to see. But with the truth came tension. The manager approached, face tight with forced politeness, insisting there must have been a mistake. Yet the excuse crumbled under the weight of what everyone had witnessed. The Johnsons had been ignored because of who they were. The father's chest ached with anger, his fists tightening beneath the table. He had been ready to walk out quietly, to swallow the humiliation for the sake of his children. But now, as he looked into their wide, questioning eyes, he knew this moment wasn't just about dinner. It was about dignity, about refusing to be erased. The room buzzed with unease. Some guests looked away, unwilling to confront the ugliness unfolding before them, but others stared, their faces shifting from discomfort to recognition. A choice was hanging in the air: stay silent or stand on the side of justice. And as the Johnsons sat there waiting for what would come next, one truth became clear. This night would no longer end in silence. The silence that once hung over the restaurant had been broken. The stranger's words forced the staff to act. Water was finally placed on the table, menus reopened, apologies stumbled out. But no amount of service could erase the truth. The Johnsons weren't given respect because it was right. They were given it because someone else demanded it. And that truth cut deeper than the initial denial. For the children, the night became a lesson far beyond what any classroom could teach. They learned that prejudice can follow you into the most ordinary places, that dignity is something their parents must fight to protect. For the parents, it was another scar in a lifetime of scars, an exhausting reminder that silence from bystanders often hurts as much as the act itself. And yet, amidst the pain, one detail mattered most. A single person chose not to look away. One voice shattered the comfort of silence, and in doing so gave the family a glimpse of what solidarity looks like. But this story is bigger than one dinner, one family, or one brave stranger. It is a mirror held up to society, a reminder that racism doesn't always arrive with slurs or violence. Sometimes it hides in the quiet denial of service, in the averted eyes, in the whispers left unchallenged. So the question remains, when the moment comes, will we stay seated in silence, or will we be the one who stands? Because the fight against racism isn't just in marches or headlines. It's in those everyday moments where dignity is tested and humanity is measured. And if one voice can change the course of a single night, imagine what could happen if all of us chose to speak.